I hereby introduce to you Mr. Michael Veazey.
I think we should look at a couple of the other features of Cashcow Pro, and then I want to dive into all that sourcing knowledge you have. That's like an amazing tool that we should make use of while you're on the show. So tell us a bit about profit and loss. That's obviously another very, very important metric to track. How does that work in Cashcow Pro?
Okay, so the frustration of Amazon is that whether you're selling one product or 100 products, it's all lumped in together as a single revenue amount per day. You don't really know how you're performing. You've got to take that data, put in your landed costs, your pay-per-click costs. Oh, I actually made a loss today. I thought I made money because I had $500 in revenue. But so really what the dashboard is, the profit section is taking your product cost, your sales, and then we're taking out other costs like your refunds, your pay-per-click costs, tax or VAT if it applies to you, and then the cost of goods as well from China, the shipping, everything's factored in. So you're seeing how much money you're actually making for that product and how well it's selling over time. And really what I found is that a lot of people are reacting on a day-to-day basis to changes on Amazon. But when you look at the graphs, the trends, you can actually really start to see what's going on when you're looking at your metrics over 30 days, 60 days. Conversion rate for an item can jump 10% to 30% and back to 5% and then 25% over the course of a week with zero changes. It's, constantly tweaking, optimizing is not really what you want to be doing. And having all of that data in front of you lets you clearly see, this is an action point. So one of the parts of the profit is it shows you, what's your sales, what's your price, what's your reviews versus your top 5 competitors. And by monitoring that, you can see, hey, my sales are only 20% of the average of the top 5 competitors. That means I can go 5 times the sales on my current product and I'd still only be average. So there's a lot of room for optimization on that product. Or another product, for example, might be 120%. Your sales are more than the average of your competitors. How much optimization can you do on a product that's way outselling the competition in that niche? On Amazon itself, maybe very little. Off Amazon marketing, there's a lot more you can do. Your time is spent better elsewhere. So it's hard to make effective decisions as to what you want to do with your Amazon product if you don't even know how much profit you're making or how it's performing overall for all the key metrics. So that's really why they're there, is to let you quickly click through and see everything. And just seeing those numbers, you're going to know what to do for that product. That's the point of it. It's not just to display the numbers and know, oh, I sold $800. No, but you'll be able to see, because of all the different metrics there, this is my weak point. This is what I need to work on. That's what I should focus on. And that's really what I recommend to people. And I think the number one thing to look at, for example, is when you're starting out, is there's no point spending tons on pay-per-click and other stuff if you're not getting a conversion rate and your listing that isn't optimized enough. So when people actually land on it, that they're buying it, then maybe something's wrong with your features, your images. And these metrics, it will show you step by step which area you should focus on.
That's really fantastic stuff. So tell me a little bit more about specifically the competition. I don't know the right way to put it, but where you are relative to the competition. How does that work? When you say your top 5 competitors, is that the top sellers on page 1 for a particular keyword, or how do you
Correct,
define that?
Yeah, so there's a section for each of your product. You can store in your main keyword for your niche, and what the tool does is it checks their sales, their reviews, and their price, and compares your product to them, so you can quickly get a snapshot of how you're performing. And it's just another indicator. If your price is 70% of the average of the top 5, and your sales are 20%, you've got a lot of room to increase that particular product. 1, you can increase the price, make some more profit. 2, you can increase the sales as well. So yeah, it's based on keywords for a particular niche or marketplace.
Okay. One important question that I should ask is what marketplaces you cover, because I know some tools only deal with the USA, although increasingly things tend to deal with different marketplaces. What about your Cashcow Pro tool? Does that deal with different places?
Sure. So it's the whole of Mexico, Canada, USA, North America, and also Europe, UK and Europe as well, and adding extra accounts. So if you're selling in the US and you expand to the UK, it doesn't cost you anything extra. It's included free. Some tools you're having to set up a whole separate new account to then use the second account in the other country. or you're paying double because now you've got 2 accounts. You can have 5 Amazon US accounts connected to Cashcow Pro. Amazon won't know because each one is considered individual. You can see all the data for all your accounts together, or you can break down and see it separately. We do plan to expand to Japan and other marketplaces too, ideally later this year. Once I have a firm data on that, I'll put an email out and let people know. But at the moment, yeah, the whole of EU and the whole of North America's covered, and it's no extra cost if you expand into those markets.
That's no small thing, actually, because I know exactly what you're saying. There's a certain tools that I've used, which maybe they're the same tools we both know, but that, you know, basically you end up paying about 3 times as much, because I've got a business that I work on with a business partner, and we sell in the EU at the moment. I've got marketplace for my main business in America. I've got another one in Europe. So, and suddenly fees of $50 a month goes to $150. So that's really worth knowing, actually. And the other thing I was going to ask you about was about the inventory tracking side of things. I mean, what sort of metrics do you do? Sort of fuller analysis of trying to predict the future, or is it just the basics of this is how much you've got and this is how long it's probably going to last based on the last 30 days sales, stuff like that?
Okay, so it's relatively basic at the moment. What we do is we show you the average sales over the last 3 days, 7 days, and 30 days, because you may have had a recent spike in sales, or you may have had a recent drop. You know, short timeframes are really difficult to use. But also at the same time, if you use 30 days, but you're just entering the peak season for your product, then it may not also reflect what's going to happen in the near future. So we show you 3 different time periods and when the stock's going to run out based on those different time periods. So you can say, okay, over the last 3 days, I've been selling 30 units a day. Most likely end of August, it's going to run out. But if I use the 30-day number, it's going to be this. And the next thing we're going to add to that is a weighting. So you can choose, you know, factor in the average sales of 3 days, 7 days, and 30 days, and then it creates an average of those and gives you a number. So at the moment, what we're doing is we're taking your stock in Amazon, seeing how many you've been selling at over different time periods, and predicting when you're going to run out. And the next phase for that tool is so you can input your lead time from your manufacturer, and it will give you an order amount and predict when you should reorder as well. That's not there yet. Again, it's something that we'd like to do later in the year. But for me, it's if you're going into Cashcow Pro and you see, okay, I've got about 25 days of stock left, mentally you know that you need to reorder. And so it's just really an indicator into preventing stock outs of your product.
Great. So it does the basics well, and it sounds like you've got more sophisticated stuff coming down the pipe. So again, yes, keep in touch with us and let us know about that. One other feature that I think is an undervalued thing in most software and underrated as an importance is the split testing thing. So tell us a little bit more about how that works in detail. Sure.
So most people guess the price of what their product should be based on their competitors. So competitor 1 selling for $20, competitor 2 is 18, the other one's 15. Maybe I'll go 14 so I can steal their sales, or maybe I'll go 18 so people don't think I'm too cheap and the quality's low. It's guesswork. So what the tool allows you to do is, instead of guessing, is to know which one is the best. So what we recommend you do is you put in your current price. Let's say it's $15. You put in a price that's higher, say $20, and a price that's lower, maybe $12. You run the test. And so what it will do is it will automatically go into Amazon, update your listing for that price. It'll run for the number of days you've set the test to run for. Then it updates to the next price, runs for that, goes through each option on the prices. And then at the end of that, it comes back to you and says, this price had this many sales, this much profit, this many conversions. So you can see really which price is best. And for some products, for some users, we found that, you know, a 20% increase in price doubles their sales, right? It's completely anti what you would think. And for other users, you know, a 5 or 10% drop in price helps them massively increase their sales. You don't know until you test it. And so really what that split testing tool does is help you have more certainty as to what the price should be and help you optimize that listing. And you can test the price, the listing price, the sales price. You can also test up to 4 different titles to see which title is going to get you the most net profits. You can test your main image, because when someone's scrolling down the search results on Amazon, the first things they're seeing are the main image, the price, the title. that's what gets them onto your page and converts. So that's why we focused the tool on that initially. And you can also then test your features as well. We will be adding description to that later on, and there are other things we're doing with that. But already you can test all the main elements of your listing, so you know which price is the best. You know which title is going to get you the most sales. You're not guessing anymore. You're not making a change and not knowing. You can test that stuff.
That's great. And I think, to be honest, that if most people just tested their price, they'd be ahead of 90% of sellers. And title is really, really important as well. So, I mean, I think, the description testing is a nice luxury to have, but to be honest, it's going to be very unimportant for most people. But great that you offer that all in one place. So that's obviously a pretty powerful tool. I can say from personal experience, having used it for a while, that it's great to have everything in one place. And as you said, it's incredibly much cheaper than having lots and lots of separate tools. So obviously people are going to be very interested in exploring getting that. We're going to put up a page, Antoni, for your stuff at amazingfba.com/Antoni. So Antoni, if I've got that right. And we will put a link in there to your wonderful tool, Cashcow Pro. And are you offering any special rates or anything special for the listeners? Can I persuade you?
Yeah, so there's a summer promotion we're doing at the moment for the month of June, and that's a massive 25% off our normal rate. So if you hear this, it's better to sign up in June. If you sign up later, there'll still be a discount. We'll confirm the exact amount, but it'll be cheaper than going direct to cashcowpro.com and signing up as well. But I think already, if you're using more than one feature, you're saving money versus having separate tools. So
I think that's probably true. And certainly if you're using 3 or 4 of the features, and they're all pretty important features as well. They're not add-ons and little extras. I mean, split testing, messaging, keyword tracking, inventory management, they're all really core functions, right?
Yeah, to running your business. And really, we used to be Amazon sellers. Now we just focus on the tool. But it was frustrating to have to pay all of these different people different amounts. We're not trying to rip people off. We give you one price, and everything else is included on top of that. You expand, you're not paying extra later. It's just we're trying to be fair and offer as much value as possible.
Great. Well, thank you very, very much for talking us through your Cashcow Pro tool, Antoni.
Thank you for having me.